All right, guys. My guest this afternoon is a Hollywood icon. Her amazing career in show business has lasted almost 8 decades. During that time, she has appeared in films like The Return of October, Mighty Joe Young, The Great Rupert, Two of a Kind, Man on a Tightrope, Postmark for Danger, Peyton Place, Beverly Hills Brats, and City of Fear. She has also appeared in television shows like My Three Sons, Empire, Burke's Law, The Virginian, Batman, Bonanza. We're going to be here a while. Murder, She Wrote, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, True Detective, Ray Donovan, to name a few. During her amazing career, she has also appeared alongside screen legends like Burt Lancaster, Mickey Rooney, Glen Ford, Victor Mature, Jimmy Durante, William Bendix, Cary Grant, my goodness, Sal Mineo, John Wayne, Tyrone Power, Lon Chaney Jr., Rory Calhoun, I'm almost done, Audy Murphy, Fred Astaire, Dana Andrews as well. And if that's not enough, she is also a Oscar-nominated actress, Best Supporting Actress for her role as Mary Buckholder in the 1952 drama Comeback Little Sheba. It's an honor for me to have her on the show this afternoon. Legendary actress, Miss Terry Moore. Terry, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time.
Well, thank you for that great introduction, Mike. I really appreciate it.
I'm out of
I've
breath.
been walking around with my head high all day now.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. That's the show, Terry. I mean, we're all out of time. I mean, your resume just ate up my whole show.
Oh.
Terry,
Well,
again, you've had an amazing career. And so how does it all start? You start off at like 10, 11 years old. How do you begin your your foray into show business?
well, what happened was a friend of my mother's, a neighbor, sent my picture into a casting magazine, and 20th Century Fox saw it, called me. I went for an audition with 500 other little girls, and they asked me if I knew how to ride bareback standing up, and I said, of course. Of course, I went right out and learned real fast, and they screen tested me, and I got the role.
Did you always want to be an actress?
Oh, yes. I always did. I mean, when I was 4 years old, I wanted to be an actress.
Wow.
I got the measles, and my career it stopped short.
How about your mom and dad? Were they showbiz people?
No, but they wanted to be. And Daddy asked me, it was so cute. He said, because he'd never done anything, he said, would you teach me a speech from Hamlet so when I have friends over, I can recite it for them? And he was the last person to ever do Hamlet.
That's a funny story. Terry, you start your career off with the name of Jan Ford. Is that correct?
No, I started it with my own name, my real name, Helen Koford, Koford. And then everyone thought it was kind of long and difficult to remember. So it was cut down to Jan Ford because, Koford. So I went as Jan Ford. And then Columbia, when I did Return of October, which you mentioned is one of my films, they said, well, we can't have two Fords in one movie. So my name in the movie was Terry. They said, why don't we use that? I mean, there'd never been a Terry in movies before, a girl. And they said, it's a perfect name. It's just like you are in the movie, you are. And Harry Cohen turned to my mother and said, what's your last name? And she said, Bick Moore. And he said, too long, Moore. In fact, I've got a letter from Colleen Moore, who is an old-time actress on my desk right here. That's who you are. Goodbye, Terry Moore. And that was it.
Oh, wow. So Harry Cohen gave you your name.
He sure did.
Wow.
And he was always so nice to me. He loved my innocence. He liked people, who were very innocent and childlike. So he really was always nice to me.
He had a nickname as well. He had a nickname. Do you remember his nickname, Harry Cohen?
No, I don't.
King Cohen. Was it King Cohen?
Oh, King Cohen, like King Kong.
Yeah, right, King Cohen, right. So you signed with 20th Century.
Well, no. First, I signed with. Oh wait, yes, that was later. I signed with Columbia, but first I signed no Columbia, and then 20th Century.
Okay. So you signed with 20th Century with Harry Cohen. In the 1950s, that decade was a very, very busy decade for you. You did some films you did in the 50s, like I mentioned, The Great Rupert with the great Jimmy Durante. He's a cockeyed.
And Rupert was a squirrel, and every day he runs by my house. I just get so excited when I see Rupert.
Well, you think of Rupert the squirrel in the movie. That was a
yes.
Let's talk.
Yes.
First of all, why don't we just talk about that movie? Because I actually saw that movie as well. And it's a family movie. It's a fun movie. Talk about working with the great Jimmy Durante at such a young age.
Oh, yeah. It was wonderful working with him. He was just like he was on the screen, and he always had his buddies around in between scenes playing the piano, and they were all singing. So that was fun.
Wow. And you play Tom Drake as well.
Yes. Yes, that was the Jimmy Durante picture.
I mean, in terms of the squirrel, if you see the movie, my audience out there have seen this movie. It's called The Great Rupert, 1950. It's on Amazon. You can actually watch it for free on Amazon Prime.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, I ran into Neil Diamond.
Oh, wow.
And he told me that was his favorite movie of any movie he said growing up, and he'd see it over and over and over.
And it's a nice little, there is a little flair of Christmas in it, too, as well.
So, Oh, yes.
The squirrel was ahead of its time.
I think so. But every day along our wall, this little squirrel walks along the wall, and we all call out, "Hello, Rupert!" The dogs both bark, and
yeah, it's a very, very, very cute movie. I tell my audience should, if you're out there, get out there and get it on Amazon Prime, because that's where I saw it. It's an adorable movie.
Oh, thank you. Well, my first starring role was Return of October, and October was a horse. And then I think I did the Great Rupert. Rupert was the squirrel. Then Mighty Joe Young was a gorilla. And it goes on and on and on. I just worked with animals. And I love animals so much.
Terry, in 1952, as I said, you were nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Mary Buckholder in Come Back Little Sheba alongside a giant, Burt Lancaster. I mean, talk a little bit about that and working with Burt.
Oh, I loved working with Burt. I mean, he was so romantic and gorgeous. and he had been with the circus. I mean, he was really nice.
Talk about what that did for your career. I mean, you got a lot of visibility.
Mm-hmm. It did. I went out with Kirk Douglas once, and I was so sad to hear we lost him again.
Yeah, it's sad. 103. He had a pretty good run.
He sure did.
The great Spartacus. Did you work with Kirk Douglas?
No, I never worked with him. I went out with him.
Oh, you went out with him? You didn't work with him, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Just once. And I was afraid to go out with him again because he was a lot older than I was, but he was so nice.
Yeah, he was another giant. It's too bad.
One
of the greats. But that's why we have film, so we can watch these movies, your career for forever. They'll be on the screen forever. In 1953, you play Susan. I can't even pronounce it. Matila in King of the Khyber Rifles, alongside very dear friend of yours, Tyrone Power. My goodness.
Yes.
My goodness.
My gosh.
Wow, talk
about him.
Most
gorgeous man I've ever seen. And I'll tell you something you probably don't know. He was in the Marines during World War II, and he shot down more Nazi planes than any other Marine.
Wow, did not know that.
Yep.
Amazing.
It's very little known. And he was the most gorgeous man I've ever seen, and kind. And my mother said, and Daddy told him, you're as beautiful on the inside as you are the out.
Oh, wow. Wow. Now, he died so sad. He died so young. I believe he was 44 when he passed away.
I know.
I mean, do you you visit his memorial? Do you still visit his memorial?
All the time, every year. I've never missed.
Wow. God bless you. God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
That's so nice. Did you ever go out with Tyrone Power?
No.
In terms of relationships?
No. I was married and he was married. So he never did. In fact, he had a baby during King of the Khyber Rifles.
Wow. Yeah, I'd gone too soon, but one of the giants in the industry, and gone way too soon. And in 1955, Terry, you play the role of Allison Ford in the crime drama Postmark for Danger. That movie was a crazy movie. Was it all filmed in London?
Yes, it was.
Wow.
All filmed. And the leading actor was also in the movie I did for Kazan, which was Man on a Tightrope.
Robert Beatty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talk about that experience of shooting overseas. How was that?
I was walking outside of MGM Studios, and my mother was so used to pointing out, she'd say, there's Lucille Ball, there's Lana Turner. And, you know, I was so used to seeing stars, I just say, yeah, just nod. I didn't make a big deal out of it. And one day she said, there's Clark Gable. We were outside the studios. He was in his real World War II uniform. I looked up and I fainted. I fainted.
Wow. How old were you?
I was probably about 14.
Wow.
It was like, please, Mr. Gable, with Judy Garland.
Well, yeah. You're used to see you were as a young child actress back then. You weren't shocked because you used to seeing Lana Turner on the set and things like that.
No,
but that really
I see them all the time.
Right, but that one floored you.
That one floored me.
Was he dressed up in his uniform? Did he have a military uniform on?
Pardon?
Did he have a military uniform on as well?
He didn't know. He didn't know. He just laughed. I mean, he thought it was so cute when I saw me faint.
Wow. Well, yeah, you've had an amazing career, and you are a conduit to the golden age of Hollywood. When, in my opinion, when Hollywood made great films, epics. Those days are sadly they don't make them as much as like they did back then. Sadly.
I know.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you, two people I'm so glad I knew that was just meant so much to me besides Tyrone Power was Cary Grant, who I worked with. I played his daughter in Howards of Virginia. And I was in the John Wayne movie at Republic, Three Faces West. And one of them is I have two sons, and John Wayne is my first son's godfather, and Cary Grant's my second son's godfather.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And they're two of the most fantastic men I ever knew in my life, and I'm certainly, just to be in movies, to have known them has been a great.
Talk about a little John Wayne for a minute, if you can. Was there an incident or a time when he wanted to come to a party with you and you didn't want him to come?
Oh, John Wayne?
Yes.
Yes, there was. And I said, oh, Duke, you can't come. I mean, it's a sit-down dinner. You can't. He said, yes, I'm coming. And got any liquor? And I said, well, we don't drink. He said, well, come on, let's go. And it was on the flats of Beverly Hills. And when I got there, I said to them, oh, I'm so sorry. Their name was Feldman. I said, I'm so sorry. I couldn't. He insisted on coming, and I didn't know how to get rid of him. They invited him in. They're still talking about the time when John Wayne came to dinner.
Wow.
Here, I thought they'd be mad that he was there.
Yeah, sorry, Duke. We don't have another chair. You're gonna have to leave.
Yeah, right.
Wow, that's a fun story. How was John Wayne, the Duke? I mean, how was he in real life? I mean, in terms
of he was on the screen.
Wow,
he was the most wonderful, friendly, laid back, real person you'd ever want to meet.
The Duke. Oh. I wish I met him. He seemed like a fun guy, and
he was. And there was nothing ornamental about him. He was just so down to earth.
He didn't sugarcoat nothing. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He pretty much told you how he felt.
He told you how it was.
Right. Another dear friend of yours, gone too soon. Talk about your relationship with the great James Dean.
Oh, Jimmy was sweet. He just, as I say, he wanted so much to be Marlon Brando, and he never got his chance to be.
Wow.
He used to get me to call Marlon so he could listen in.
Get out. Oh, wow.
No, he really, he was just in love with Marlon.
Did your dad like him?
My dad?
What did your dad? Yeah, what did your dad think of James Dean?
Well, Jimmy, I brought him home. I met him at the studio. I brought him home for dinner, and when the dinner was over, he unbuttoned his pants and burped, and my dad said, "Why don't you put his plate on the floor and let him eat like a dog?" and and I did, and I was shocked. I mean, Jimmy went over and licked up the plate.
Oh my goodness. He's a method.
He likes to shock people.
He's like a method actor.
Oh yeah, he was a method
right.
actor. Mm-hmm. And Marlon liked to shock people. And Jimmy used to ask me, always try to get me to call Marlon so he could listen in.
Well, what did he think? I mean, did he ever meet Marlon Brando?
He not really, because I'm a member of the Actors Studio too, and Jimmy said, I said, "Did you ever meet Marlon?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I came out. I was on my motorcycle. Marlon was getting on his, and I said, 'Hi.' And he said, 'Hi, kid,' and went rolling off." I was so thrilled.
Wow. And James Dean was well on his way to becoming he is a legend, but he only made 3 films, but he would have been the Marlon Brando, up in that
his time.
Yes.
No, he was on his way. He was really a good actor.
Very great method actor, as like Marlon Brando. You were actually the first person to get James Dean to wear, first and last person to get him to ever wear a tuxedo.
Yes, I was.
How did you pull that off? How did you pull that off, Terry?
Well, you couldn't go to the premiere unless you did wear one.
Wow.
And I took him to rent one, and he was so proud of that and all the pictures he had. I still just want to cry when I think about Jimmy, because he was so young and talented and a real sweet boy.
Where were you, and do you remember how you heard that he passed away?
No, I don't. It's just too appalling. It was like Kobe Bryant. It was on everything.
Right. Oh, yeah, too bad. One of the greats, Giant, Rebel Without a Cause, and the other movie escapes me. My goodness. Yeah, one of the greats. Terry, in 1949, you appeared in Mighty Joe Young, which was a big box office hit for you. That was a great year for you because you also met the great Howard Hughes that year.
Yes, I did.
Talk a little
bit. The love of my life.
Yeah. Talk a little about the first time you met Howard Hughes.
Well,
today would be like meeting Jeff Bezos. Sorry, go ahead.
No. My boyfriend and myself, it was Jerome Cortland, and we called him Kojo. He was, we had made several movies together at Columbia, and we ran into a friend of his named Johnny Mascio, who was a big agent. He said we had gone to a tennis game together, and he invited us to go to the Beverly Wilshire to have a drink. Neither one of us drank, but to get a Coke or 7-Up or something. And Jerry said, and he said no, and I said no, and he said, "Look, Johnny Mascio is a good friend of my mom's. We just have to go. We've said no to him enough times." So I said, "Oh, okay." We went over to the Beverly Wilshire. We sat down. He ordered some 7-Ups, and he looked across. He said, "Oh, there's Howard Hughes." And he beckoned to him, and he said, "Howard, come join us." And This tall, lanky man, because he was tall and he was lanky, stood up. And I'm trying to think, Howard Hughes, Howard Hawks, John Huston. I was trying all the H's. Wow. I couldn't remember. Then when he came over and sat down with us, every time that anybody would ask him a question, he'd answer it looking directly at me. And it made me feel so uncomfortable. I just couldn't stand him. And he asked Kojo and me to go flying with him. And I said no. And Kojo kicked me under the table and said, "Oh, we'd love to, Mr. Hughes." Well, when Howard Hughes had left us, I said, "Why did you accept?" And he said, "Because don't you know that he's the first man to fly around the world?" He said, I'm 6'5", he's 6'4". I want to play him on the screen. And so we went. And it ended up being a long time of meeting for flying dates.
Wow. Because you're also a pilot as well.
Yes, I am. He taught me, and I love flying. Next to acting, I love flying.
Wow. God bless you. Wow, that's fantastic. You weren't. I mean, when the first time you guys went out or got to hang out, you weren't really head over heels over him in the beginning.
Oh no, not at all. And I would. What happened is I would come home. He would call me at night, and I would love to hear about all the older stars: Rita Hayworth, Ava Gardner, Lana, all the ones he had dated, and I found myself not waiting to get home from my dates with Kojo.
Wow.
And I told him, and he said, well, why don't you go out with me? I said, what? Of course not. I mean, never. I mean, he's too old for me. He said, well, why not? And I thought, why not? And so I did.
Remember you warned me against Dick Contino, and look at the scandal he got in.
Well, and that isn't all.
What?
Well, I mean, who the hell selected Bob Parrish?
Me.
Why don't you decide you need somebody to take care of you, and why don't you let me have the job?
Oh, Howard, you want it? You mean that, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, I love you. You can have the job.
That's how it started.
Because I believe, if I could be wrong, but there was a 23-year-old age difference between you.
You got it exactly.
Wow.
Boy, have you done your homework?
Yeah.
I've never had anybody ask me questions who's looked into everything as
really?
you have.
Well, thank you for the compliment. Wow, look at that. I just got a compliment.
But it is a compliment.
Oh,
I
you're
need
the
it.
best. You're a doll. Thank you so much. Yeah, I put a lot of work into it, and when I get a great star, a starlet like yourself, it makes it all worthwhile for me, because that's what I do. I do a lot of the old golden age of Hollywood actresses and actors, and to have you on is a big deal for me. So I'm very appreciative. Speaking of the phone calls, I'm gonna shock you a little bit more. Speaking of the phone calls, Terry, what is the alligator love call?
Well, I made this movie where I had to fall in the water in Florida with alligators, and I was taught by the top man, the Frank Buck of alligators, to make the alligator love call. And when they want to catch an alligator, they give this love call. They do it at night. They have a flashlight on their heads, and they can see the alligator come at them, and they lasso them. And the alligator love call is, oh. And don't do it if you don't want to be swarmed by alligators.
Oh my goodness. Wow, I did not know that. I didn't know the actual call, but so that's it. Whoa, whoa. Next time, if you're ever stuck in a swamp in Louisiana, don't do that.
No, don't.
So your relationship with Howard goes. I mean, you start going out with Howard, obviously. Was there ever a proposal? Did he ever propose to you?
Yes, he did. We got married.
Where did he propose? Do you remember? Was it Mulholland Drive?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it was.
Don't even ask me how I grabbed that one out of the air.
I
don't even know.
I'm afraid to ask.
There's a lot of reading. And how was that?
There must be. There must be. I made a movie called A Silent Life, and it's the life of Rudolph Valentino, and he's buried right close to Tyrone. So every time I've gone over to Forever Hollywood shooting the movie, I'm right next to Tyrone's grave.
Wow. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Did not know that one. So, where do you actually get married to Howard Hughes? Where was the ceremony?
Oh, you know something?
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at my book, because I don't remember.
Did you get married on a yacht? Was it on a yacht?
Huh? Yes, it was. By his captain. And his captain even taught me to sail his little dinghy.
Oh, what a great life you've had, Terry! Amazing life. How long were you married to Howard Hughes?
8.5 years.
Wow. Oh.
That's what I say. Wow.
Wow, and that was the love of your life, because you did.
Yes, it was.
Do you remember the last time you spoke with Howard Hughes?
It was shortly before he died, and the phone rang, and all I heard was oh
wow, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then somebody hung up, and I could tell it wasn't him. It was one of his bodyguards. he became a prisoner of his own guards at the end.
Yeah. Speaking of Howard Hughes, there was a movie called The Aviator, directed by Martin Scorsese, and Leo DiCaprio played Howard Hughes. You had something to do with that film.
Yes, that sweetheart, I just love him, called me and asked me if I would mind helping him with the interpretation of Howard. And I had a book I'd written, which I let him read, and I had some what do you call it?
Script?
Voiceovers. Yeah, script that's Howard's voice. And I let him hear that.
Oh, wow.
It was so helpful to him. And when he did the scene with the Senate investigation, I'll tell you, you could not tell him from Howard. He was great. He's such a great actor.
Yeah, Leo's great. But you weren't crazy about the ending.
No, because it ended before he met me. And they ended the movie because he was so young still at that time, Leo, that they ended the movie before he bought RKO or before he met me. And it wasn't quite right. It bothered me, but it doesn't anymore because, movies do that.
Right. Terry, you knew Marilyn Monroe. Talk a little bit about your relationship with her. Do you have a strong relationship with her?
Well, we were both members of the Actors Studio, so I would see her there all the time. We were both under contract to Columbia. In fact, Max Arno brought her in when I was with Natasha Lytess, who later became her drama coach, and just went on every set with her till they kicked her off. And he brought her in and said, we've just put this girl under contract, and now you have someone to do scenes with, Terry. So I was so glad to have Marilyn there, and we became very good friends. And I read her book recently, and I couldn't read it. It was just so sad.
Yeah, very sad. I sort of like the James Dean type of life, gone too soon.
Oh, yeah.
Gone too soon.
It was really sad.
Did you ever hang out with her in terms of like restaurants?
Well, I invited her home to dinner several times, and my parents liked her very much. I mean, they really felt sorry for her. They, everybody that knew Marilyn, they wanted to adopt her.
Yeah, she's one of my.
Yeah, sad, terrible.
Yeah, it was a sad life, and yeah, it's too bad. And she's still. She's still she's still on TV nowadays. Every time you turn the Turner Classics on, they're always doing movies about her or exposés about her. It's they do live on, and James Dean as well.
Well, if you die young, you will remain star forever.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Jimmy's a bigger star than Marlon. And yet, even as good as Jimmy was, Marlon was better, but he didn't die. He didn't die.
Right. It's sad to say, but if Marlon Brando died in his prime, he'd be, astronomical.
Yeah, exactly.
Today. Terry, interesting. You did Playboy.
I did.
Good for you. Who approached you? Was it Hugh Hefner?
Who what?
Who approached you? Was it Hugh Hefner who approached you?
I think he approached my husband then, Jerry Rivers, who died we were married 20 years, and he died about 10 years ago. And I said, no way. Are you kidding? He said, look, please, they'll make them really good. You can cut anything out you want. If there's something you don't like, it's out. They will be, anyway. And he said, and if you want the pictures and you don't want them to use them, you can have them. So I said, okay, not thinking I would ever let them do them. And they were the best pictures I'd ever had taken. Their photography, their makeup people were fantastic. And that's how it came about.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Because you were, you weren't I don't want to say spring chicken, but you weren't 25 years old.
I was 55 years old when I did it.
Wow, God bless you.
The cover and 11 pages inside.
Good for you, Terry. Good for you. Terry.
And it was unretouched.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Did not know that. Do you have a copy of that?
I do, yes.
Good for you. Terry, at one point in your career, you were the most publicized person in the world. At the time, it was you and Nikita Khrushchev of the Soviet Union or Russia.
Right, right. Next, he was the only one that had more publicity pictures in the papers than I did.
Wow. Oh. I mean, people, Terry, nowadays, I'm sure back then, they were wrapped up in this fame. They want to be famous, but fame is a very lonely place, is it not?
Hello, are you there?
Can you hear me? Did you hear that question?
Yes, now I can.
I'm sorry.
Fame is the loneliest place in the world.
Well said. Yeah, because you can't go out. When you were at the height, like I say, one of the most publicized people in the world. I mean, what was life like for you?
You couldn't go anywhere, as you started to say. I was headlining the Flamingo in Las Vegas, and I couldn't go out the door. I'd have to come home and just stay in my room after my shows and between them. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Well, I mean, you couldn't even go food shopping.
No.
Somebody had to go food shopping for you.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
And I should never miss that ever, because I really found that fame is the loneliest place to be in the whole world.
Very well said. Very well said.
Right now, I have 2 pictures I'm very proud of that are unreleased, and I think are going to be very good.
I mean, you God bless you. You're still active. I mean, you're still.
Oh, yes.
Good. I mean, I saw you on your site that you had a lot of projects, like 5 or 6 projects coming up, and it makes me very happy. And it makes
Thank you so much. And I have 2 movies I'm very proud of that haven't been released, but they'll be released this year.
Oh, excellent. I mean, you can't tell the names, obviously.
Yes, I can.
Oh, you can. Okay.
One is the Rudolph Valentino movie, and I have the first lead, and it's called A Silent Life, and I play the woman in black, and I tell the story, and as I say, I'm the lead actress. And then another movie that I just finished called, just a minute, it's called, what, honey? Evie Rose.
Evie Rose.
And I play Evie Rose. Uh-huh.
Oh. And those are coming out next year or this year, you said?
This year, probably not till the end of the year, and maybe not until next year.
Oh, great. Maybe we'll have you back on to promote those. That'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun.
I'd always like to talk to you, Mike, because you do your homework.
Yeah, I do my homework. In speaking of films that mean a lot to you, in 1989, you wrote a movie called Beverly Hills Brats with Martin Sheen.
Yes.
Talk about, from a writing standpoint, how was that for you?
Well, it was my original story, and my son wrote the script, and Martin Sheen played the lead with me, and I loved doing it, just loved it, and I've stayed very close to the Martin Sheen family ever since. And
I could be wrong, but to get funding for that, how did you get funding for it, $1 million for it?
Well, it was so funny. My mother went to a party, and she met this lovely doctor from Jamaica, and she said he wanted to meet me. So he came over, and he told me that he told this actor, I don't even remember the actor's name, but that he had a movie, and if he put me in the lead part, that he would give him $1 million to make it. And I said, well, let me read it. And I read it, and it wasn't right for me at all. And I said, look, I have a script that my son has written called Beverly Hills Brats. Read it, because that's the one I would like to do. He read it and said, well, I don't care. I mean, whatever you want to do. So I read it, I did it, and he gave me $1 million. And the next time I had a man who Pilar Wayne married after she divorced John Wayne, and he gave me $2 million to make a movie.
Wow, good for you.
I've been very lucky.
Yeah, you've been very lucky, and you're very talented too, as well, Terry. So, I mean, don't sell yourself short. You're a very talented actress, and obviously by your resume, which is it'll eat up every paper in your printer if you got to print it out. I mean, really, it's crazy. Real quick, a very dear friend of yours you work with. Talk a little bit about Lee Marvin for a little bit, if you can.
Oh, I love him. I mean, he's just wonderful. You know, he was such a war hero. Uh, I don't know if he was a Marine or not, who are kind of my favorites because my favorite uncle was a Marine. But he was a very brave soldier. He was on Saipan, and he was such a good actor.
Mm. Yeah, he was. I mean, nowadays he'd be like a Navy SEAL.
That's it. Yes.
Or a SEAL team guy because he was a very, very fit. You actually spoke to him right before he passed away.
Who?
You actually spoke to Lee Marvin right before he passed away.
Yes. I did talk to him just before he passed away.
And what did he say? Do you remember?
He said, "Hold in there, kid. We'll all see each other sometime."
Didn't the doctors, he said the doctors are going to kill him?
Did what?
I think he said the doctors were going to kill him. Did he?
Oh, that's right. He did. He said, "If I don't get out of here soon, the doctors are going to kill me." That's right.
Another one of the greats you've been around. And real quick, Terry, I mean, talk about war heroes. You work with the great Audy Murphy.
Oh, another war hero. I mean, the number one war
right,
hero.
Right, the number one.
Yeah. Terrible. Met a terrible death.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's a shame. What a shame. But what a warrior. When you talk about war.
I know. I know.
Terry, this has been great. And one more quick question before we wrap it up. I always ask people this question when they got a resume like yours. Was there anybody or is there anybody that you always wanted to work with but never did?
Yes, Clark Gable.
Oh, wow. Clark Gable. That would be. Yeah, good answer. Very good answer.
Oh, yes. And I want to tell you, you're the best interview that anyone has ever given me, and you should be very proud of that.
Oh, my God. You just brought a tear to my eye. Really. For real. I really mean that. Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, and I do put a lot into this. And
boy, I know it.
It's a passion.
You could write a book on me.
I'd love to. You got a couple of books out.
Yep.
You're an author as well. And your website, terrymore.com. Terry, this has been a joy for me, and continued success. You don't need me to tell you that, but from the bottom of my heart, Terry Moore, thank you so much for doing this, and you're one of the legends and a Hollywood icon.
Oh, and God bless you, sweetheart.
Thank you so much. All right, there you have it, guys. Hollywood icon Terry Moore. So many great stories about. She was married to Howard Hughes, Clark Gable. She knew Marilyn Monroe, James Dean. Some great stories in this interview. One of my favorite interviews of all. I can already sense that. She's a doll, and again, she's a Hollywood icon. A lot of her movies are up on Amazon Prime. Postmark for Danger is up there. The Great Rupert with Jimmy Durante. It's up on Amazon Prime. It's free if you have Amazon Prime. It's a great family movie. Fantastic movie. We talked about the squirrel. The squirrel's got a lead role. And it's a great movie. It's a funny movie. And it's a Christmas movie as well. So, again, watch that with your family. And watch these great classic old films, guys, out there. These are some of the best movies of all time.